Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, I think most of us are over the shock of what has happened and what is happening. And I wanted just to take a moment to see what the projection from Charlie's Heaven Day, what the next year is going to look like. So let's do a projection, um, and just to see what the next year is going to look like. What are the planetary cycles? So we're going to start um, with the moon because there's different cycles you can use. And this is not astrology. This planetary cycles predates astrology. This is what the ancients used for timing. So what's going to happen at first is we are in a moon cycle, and that is the reflection. We're all reflecting, how does this make me feel, right? Does this make me feel sad? Does this make me feel angry? Some sick bastards out there are happy. So we are reflecting on this, and how does this tragedy affect us on a very personal level? Before we get into a societal level, how does it affect us? I've heard from many people say, I can't stop crying. I didn't know who this was. I didn't know who he was till 2 days ago. My son introduced me to, my son came and told me, and and you watch his widow, look at the clock agrees, and it's how it reflects you on an emotional, personal level. So that's why we start with the moon. Then we're going to see, here comes the commerce and the tricksters. This is Mercury then steps in, and Mercury is going to show us people who want to try and make money from it. We're going to see trickster energy, people lying, people, a lot of communications going back and forth, a lot of things made up, a lot of things are real. But we're going to get into the discourse after people are done the shock and how it personally affects them. They're going to start to look at, well, how does this affect over, my business? How does this affect, people making money off of it? There's going to be lots of people making money off of it. He's got a company. Somebody, will need to step in and look after that. Are there what kind of rumors, what kind of spin doctrine is going to go on? Then we go into our Venus time, and now this is where we have the more societal relationships. How does this affect your relationship with society overall? And it's not just a heaven day you can do. You can do this for anything. Starting a new job, starting school, anything that you start that has these phases in it. So this is our Venus time, and this is how do we reflect now in society, right? The shock, everything is worn off. We're about, we're not quite halfway into the year. We've all had our talks and our discussions, and we've had panels and people buying and selling things, and what's it? They say, strike while the iron is hot. That's the Mercury time. Some are legit, some are grifters and whatever. But now we go into, how does this affect society overall? How what are the repercussions? What are the ripples? What are the possibilities now? Right? The Empress is pregnant with possibilities. So what are the possibilities? Then halfway through, we come up with new, fresh ideas. And, the grief is over. We've come together. Not, I don't know if it'll ever be over, but we'll come together as a society, and perhaps new laws are made. Under the sun is a great time for new laws, a lot of public relations, a lot more debates in governments about what we should ban, what we shouldn't ban. But it feels fresher and newer now. Then we have the opposition, the Mars. So what happens is government perhaps proposes, I'm just saying this, a gun ban, Well, here comes the opposition and say, are you kidding me? That's in our Second Amendment. Here comes the fight about that. Or perhaps they say, um, I don't know, death um, penalty for this or for that. And here comes the opposite. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. So now we get people standing up and saying, um, maybe it wasn't that bad. This also could be the legal procedures that are going on. This is a very masculine part as opposed to the very feminine part and there's not they're both needed to have the balance. The feminine part is the part coming together and forums and discussion um, and whatnot, and the masculine part is almost like not totally opposition, but the realistic part of it, right? um and just like a yin yang, you need both. That's why they're on the other side of these fresh ideas. Then we have the Jupiter part, which is the expansion. So the actual expansion of Charlie's ideas and the actual expansion and implications of different things that have now changed because of his heaven day. Um, Also, we might see like uh, more spring up. Maybe, maybe I think he had like 60 on 60 campuses. Perhaps now we'll see 100. We'll see more expansion of his ideas. We'll see more. And you think about it, you put it into 9/11's perspective. New laws came in and people were fighting them. And then some of the expansion was, well, we're going to go into other countries and sort them out. So there'll be some kind of expansion here about, his ideas after we've all hashed them out. And then comes September, well, yeah, the 52 days before his very first anniversary of his heaven day. And that's when things will solidify. So all the talking is done, all the debates are done, all the ideas are out there, things have been implicated, whether they're laws, whether they're expansion of his business. His wife said she's going to pick up the torch and carry on. Then it solidifies. If we see any kind of trial or anything, the person who, or persons or whatever, they do not want their trial to come in to 52 days before the heaven day, because people's emotions again are going to be kind of riled up. They know it's coming, and the hammer will come down. The hammer will come down. Interesting. uh, Charlie Kirk was in his Saturn time before the 52 days before your birthday are the most dangerous in the whole year. And he was in his Saturn time when he was taken off the earth. And this tells me when you do pass away 52 days before your birthday, you have completed your life mission. So this tells me he's completed and he was successful in his life mission. Um, and I think by then we'll be able to digest that a little bit easier. So let's see, what are the energies going to be around this? So the moon, our emotions, are how it touches us personally and deep inside. You can see the moon is within and Mercury's without. How the Charlie Kirk's heaven day. How Charlie Kirk's heaven day. September 10th, 2025 to September 9th, 2026. What are the planetary energies? Oh, look at that. I'm going to say that that's the house card, the home card, the foundational celebration card, which is interesting on his moon. On the moon part of that, I think the anniversary date of his heaven day will become much celebrated. It will be maybe a celebration of free speech. And I think what's going to happen is people are going to look more at Charlie than how he passed away. Also, this could be his funeral. It also could be a funeral. Four of Wands is foundational celebration. So there's something about here, celebration of life, but there's something here that, number one, it really hit home. Maybe it hit home to many of us because we have a child that age. He's only 31. Or maybe it hit home because he was the age of our children. Maybe it hit home because you enjoyed his faith or his message or whatever he had to say. But I'm getting that there's some kind of celebration in that we were a feeling of we were lucky enough to live at the same time he did and hear his story and hear his debates. This also tells me there will be all kinds of awards, scholarships perhaps, statues, and they'll bring up a lot of emotion, a lot of emotion. Okay. Okay, I think under his Mercury, under his communications and commerce, I think it's going to be all over the place. There's not one central place that will hold this space for him. I think it's going to be all over the place. I think we're going to see different groups clinging to him, saying they knew Charlie best. So perhaps it's the church, perhaps it's the Republicans, perhaps it's the any kind of conservative group, right? Perhaps it's his company. But I see right now there will be no coordination. And there'll be nobody really looking after who is grifting off of this, selling T-shirts and hats and stuff like that. There's no real coordination. There's no real central place that's going to look after, like, trademarks, for example. What you can and cannot publish. It almost feels like it's going to be the Wild West to me. What people can say about him, who can claim him, who can grift off of him. That's definitely somewhat troublesome, really. I almost would, and I know it's really early, I'd like to see somebody gather this together. All right, his relationships and society in general. The Hanged Man. People are going to hang on to him for a very long time. People are going to claim him as their own. People are also going to see him in a different light, and I can almost see that happening now. One lady I follow on YouTube, she even apologized for saying bad things about him, and she didn't really know him. And now that she's looked into and watched some videos, she's apologizing. So I think a lot of people are going to see him in a different light. I think that, and here's the thing with the Hanged Man, and when you die at 31, no different than when Diana did, you are now that person for the rest of your life. You never age, you never change, you never grow. There we are, and that's I think what people are going to see of him and how they relate to him. Is he's a 31-year-old conservative influencer, and that's father, son, brother, and then that's it. Just like Diana. Nobody thinks of Diana as a grandmother, even though she is now. Nobody thinks of Diana as a mother-in-law. We all think of Diana as the beautiful Diana who died in a car accident at age 36. Well, some of us go, "Oh, yeah, do you believe it? Diana'd be a mother-in-law now." Or, "Wow, do you believe it? Grandmother she'd be a grandmother by now." So, I think, um, he's gonna be frozen in time to the world, to the world. The son, so what's going to come of this? He's still gonna be very controversial. Um, and I think it has a lot to do with nobody is honing in on taking um, control of his image, of his message. That might have to be something that his wife does. I mean, obviously, not right now, but I think once this sun and the sunlight is starting to come out for her a little bit more, being in the dark place that she's in right now, I think they're going to find out that there are people who are using his name, who are disparaging his name. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be all over. It's going to be quite rocky, actually. What's happening here? I actually feel really kind of bad for her. And remember, this is just the first year, and if you're not thinking about this, you're not prepared for it. You're a young couple. I mean, couples who are in their 50s are barely thinking about what am I going to do if my spouse passes away. You might in passing talk about it, but I think there's definitely going to be some rough waters for her to navigate. Unfortunately, she's going to be doing it publicly. I sure hope they don't rip her apart. And you think about it, here she is with the children, and she's going to be kind of stuck, not being able to really go anywhere, but yet living her life in the spotlight. The sun's going to be shining on her. Like, what are you doing next? What are you, like, she made the speech that, you woke up this widow, and you're going to hear my battle cry. um in some respects, then people are going to be watching for her, and if she allows them, in the beginning here, to walk all over Charlie's image, his trademarks, his reputation, and everything, she's going to be in for quite a battle later on in the year, because how do you, that gate's open and the horse is gone, right? All she can do is stop it from that moment on. Okay, Mars, who's going to be aggressive or oppressing? News, Page of Wands in reverse. There, she is definitely going to be fighting um, public opinion. She's going to be fighting terrible news stories about him. Like, it's going to feel like everywhere she turns is eh, fighting something, fighting some kind of, I want to say, zealots. Like, people, I'm gonna say that there's gonna be some kind of rising on the other side of everything that Charlie stood for, and they're just gonna be hammering her, just hammering her. She's got a target on her back, and I don't mean that violently. I mean that with words and stress, and trying to maybe overtake some of his company. Um, there's some, like, I'm really worried about his image. Honestly, there's already probably people making money off of T-shirts and hats and all kinds of grifting and whatnot. And unfortunately, she's going to have to deal with that quite a bit this first year coming up. Jupiter, what's going to be lucky? Oh, wow, loss of money. Um, a sponsor's going to drop out. Uh, are they not? Ah, poor girl. I think she's going to have to fight for control of that company, but yet, law is she automatically is owner of. I'm not too sure. We'll have to see how the structure of Turning Point is. Obviously, not doing the podcasts or the anymore, so sponsorships might disappear. Um, I wish she wouldn't have said that. I understand her anger and I understand that she wants to move that forward, but in that kind of passionate way, she may have put way too much on her shoulders rather than allowing herself to grieve and look after her children. She's going to be peppered with a lot of this stress, unfortunately. All right, so just before the 52 days, the Saturn time of his heaven day. Wow, the Hermit in reverse. No healing. No healing, and a very lonely feeling. I think in some respects they're going to understand his intelligence, um, and how he's irreplaceable, and what they're trying to do to keep everything afloat is it's going to be difficult. It's actually going to be very difficult. What's underlying? There's the river of tears. There it is. Rivers and rivers and rivers of tears. I wish she would have just taken a year to heal and grieve. I think things are going to be at a standstill, and I don't feel like there's any growth in his brand, let's say. Um, I think she's going to have a very difficult time moving this business forward. She's going to feel quite alone by the time she gets to the 1 year anniversary. She's going to feel like, yeah, she's going to feel like she's all alone. Um, Even if she's not, that's what she's feeling, right? Loneliness, missing him. Sorry, when you lose somebody like that, nobody can replace the person that you love. I mean, they can try, they can do what the man of the house kind of thing does, but she's the more that she kind of tries to fill his shoes and help with the business and all of that, the lonelier she's going to feel. She's going to really miss him a lot. She's going to miss him. He can't shield her, right? He's no longer there to shield her. Look at all the reversals here. I think though, there is the most important one here is the Hanged Man in reverse, meaning that Charlie is frozen in time to society, and not only for her missing him, society will miss him as well, and realize he's irreplaceable, and so therefore the brand is almost going to have to be a whole brand new brand, if you know what I mean. The brand of Charlie Kirk um, is unsustainable because he was the brand and he's no longer here. And no matter who you try and get to replace him, it's not going to work, because people will always say that's not Charlie. This is not the Charlie we know. The Hanged Man here they are stuck on the brand of Charlie Kirk. Admittingly, I honestly, I don't think I've ever listened to any of his podcasts. If I did, it was by accident. Like maybe it was on at a office somewhere and somebody was listening to it. I kind of knew his name as a conservative pundit. Again, like I said, if I ever listened to anything, was by accident. I can honestly say I've never on purpose listened to any of his stuff. That doesn't mean what he was saying was wrong. It's just he's not my genre. Um, I really try and step away from a lot of political things, even though people say I'm political. I'm definitely not. But even I feel this. I mostly feel it through my son. My son is quite upset. Quite upset. He listened to all of Charlie's stuff, and I didn't know that. Um, but yeah, I think this is going to be a year of river of tears. Unfortunately, I think Charlie's brand is going to take a hit, and that's too bad. But hopefully, people won't disparage her too much. but she's up against some strong headwinds here. If she needs somebody to take control, even if she has to hire somebody, she needs somebody to take control of Charlie's brand, his image, all of that. This is interesting here. I want here's like the River of Tears, the Ace of Cups in reverse, obviously. Interesting. I want to find out, tell me more about this house, about the home, about the Four of Wands. Clarify that on how we are all feeling. It could just mean feeling we're all in or inner, like inside your home. But what would we be celebrating? Can you please clarify this Four of Wands? This is the only one I'm really confused about. Clarify this, please. Now, the Nine of Swords in reverse. Why are we celebrating? What's going on here? What's going on here? Six of Cups in reverse. I don't know. I don't understand what the moon is trying to teach us. Unless it's like a celebration of life, right? Because the Nine of Wands in reverse is the end of anxiety, and the Six of Cups in reverse is near past for me. So perhaps, like, he wasn't that old. So perhaps celebrate the message that he was trying to convey rather than cry over his death. Maybe that's the message the moon is. That's what the message of the moons of the emotions are trying to tell us. Celebrate celebration of life rather than cry over the death. And maybe that's why a lot of us are emotional and we don't even know why. It's because we recognize the good, and we've lost somebody good. So perhaps there's a lesson in that. All right. Thank you very much for watching. All the best to Charlie's wife and his children and his image and all of it, because I think we're going to see some really ugly stuff, unfortunately. Please take good care. See you online. Bye for now.